Okay, so I'm a little out of practice, so it's gonna like take me a while.
No, I'm fine.
I think the last time I did this was back in maybe like February-ish. But anyway,
Okay.
but I do want to know. Okay, or no, full disclosure. First time that we met, do you remember we met? It was in Kimple. I guess you were signing up for the classes. It was like, around that time. It was like before Angels in America-ish. Okay, full disclosure. I thought you did not have one of your ears. I thought you had like no ear. I guess it was because how you were wearing your hat, maybe. But no, I did, and I just wanted to get that off my chest before we get started.
That is so funny.
That you had, I thought you had like one ear. But also, I really want to just talk to you, like as an actor, as a person, talk to you.
Yeah.
So let's get Island Trap, I guess, out of the first off, because that's kind of like what we're here for. That's the most precedent thing.
Of course.
So
unless you want to talk about Champion.
Oh yeah, so you were in The Champion. Also, your hair was its own character in The Champion.
Yes.
It was, you played Bobby, I don't know the last name.
Bobby Hamilton.
Bobby Hamilton. And so you were Nina Simone's husband, right?
I was Nina Simone's
or was like
drummer in the band.
Oh, were you not her husband?
No.
I don't know where I got that from. Because, okay, so, but she was having an affair with the white guy, right? Or no?
Nina Simone in The Champion. The Champion is a reboot. It's not necessarily a musical, but we just went ahead and did a very specific episode that happened in Nina Simone's life. And the way that the play came together was Amy Evans, shout out to the black playwright, black goddess playwright. It took her 11 years to put the piece together. Mm-hmm. She met the band member, the real Al Shackman, the one who the white guy played.
Oh, okay.
Who was the guitarist for Nina Simone, and he and her kind of started the whole band. Now Nina Simone had a different guy that was a husband who was the manager and would abuse her, so the white guy, Al, would be on the road with her and have to watch her be beat all the time.
Oh.
I was just a drummer, and the other black guy was Christopher White, and he was the bassist.
I don't know why I thought that you were her husband. I was like, it's such a weird, like...
No, it was she thought I was like her baby brother. Like she cared. That's why when no spoiler alert, but when she came to save me, it was like felt like she was saving her baby. Because I was the youngest one that she used to take care of.
Yeah, because I did think that dynamic was off, and I was like, they don't seem like they're married. I think just so I'm really bad at historical and names and stuff.
No worries.
Mesh people together. But okay, so you want her husband. Still, wonderful performance.
Thank you.
But and so how did you hear about that, and how did you get involved with that, or was it just an audition thing, and then you found out more about it?
The Champion was wild because before I came to the U of A, I'd never been in a play before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you were
speech and debate.
Yes, okay, I knew that.
So the fact that U of A even took a chance with me to let me in their graduate program and never being in a play was a wild thing. Mm-hmm. But then they're working on the development of the play at the new Arkansas Play Festival. That was the summer of 2016. And Amy Evans was doing her second or her third workshop on the piece with director Reginald Douglas. And they already had Joy Jones playing Nina Simone because she looks like Nina Simone. She sings like Nina Simone. She has it on lock. She's incredible. Mm-hmm. They asked me to come and do a reading to do the development of it before I started school in August. Mm-hmm. And after that reading, they did a Crystal Bridges. They did it at Theater Squared. I didn't know what happened to the piece ever since then. I was like, oh, that's a fun thing to do. 7 months later, they're like, we want you to be in the world premiere reprising your role. I was like, what do you mean? I'm like, while I'm in school? I'm like, yeah, no, while you're in school, we want you to play Bobby Hamilton in the world premiere of Amy Evans' Nina Simone play. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, do I have to audition? Or no, it's the same director and the playwright that asked for you. You don't have to audition.
Ooh, yes. Name status or just we want Austin Eckford, please?
And that's the first play I ever worked on.
Oh, okay.
So it's funny, and that ended up being the third play I've ever been in. Mm-hmm. And my second professional show was The Champion. And I was, I'm not gonna lie, I was nerve-wracked because everybody else already has their MFAs, already professional actors. So it was a really tough thing to do. It's sad because my parents came out and sat the front row on opening night.
That's amazing.
It was tough because I could see them crying. Mm-hmm. when I had the cuffs on.
Oh, because it was like, because they didn't separate their son from like this actor or this like character that he was from. Oh, that's got to be really like
Oh man,
a
all
thing
the
to
feels.
go through.
All the feels.
Goodness.
All the
So,
feels.
I guess for you, what did it feel like having to go through that on stage, and not just once, but like, you know, for the whole run of it? Like, what did that feel like to like go through those motions and go through those emotions?
I cried a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I cried a lot. Honestly, after the fourth, fifth time, I was worn out, and I was like, damn, we got 20 more to do.
Yeah.
And it's also tough doing it, you know, in the space that we're at. And that's not to throw any shade to Fayetteville, but the city's 84% white.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's not like I'm doing it for the people that look like me.
Yeah.
And sometimes it feel like, you know, that trauma or the realness of that situation was placed for entertainment. But the director, Reginald Douglas, did a beautiful thing. I had to let them know that, because every night I have to practice doing like the part again, like put on the ground, putting the handcuffs on, like 3 times before the show started every night.
Oh yeah, because it's like
fight call.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh man. And I just let them know I was having in the beginning I didn't want to tell them it was a tough part for me to do that role, because they were doing me a favor. I was a grad student, and I don't want to make it seem like I'm making professional theater difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But it was literally to the point where I was coming home, and I couldn't shake that off, because there was one day I was rehearsing for that piece, and I'm waiting at the bus stop to go to the theater, and a police car just rolls up on me, and like it's here at the bus stop, so I'm freaking out, and I'm like, I'm walking today,
Yeah.
so I have to walk on the trail all the way like where I live, just as I'm like, and it's tough because as much as it's a play, for Black people, police brutality is a very real thing that like we have to be aware of. That I don't think everybody has to have that type of double consciousness. That like I have to make sure certain times I articulate, certain times I don't sound like I'm condescending, or I sound that I'm giving somebody like power or authority, and I could be doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And what I learned from The Champion was, through that last little song that Nina Simone does during the end, is that the healing part's important.
Mm-hmm.
That even though we have the moment of like all this stuff happening, because all these indictments and stuff happening, all these like murders happening and no indictments, you know, it's a wear and tear. And then to do like in a play, it's like sometimes like, man, am I acting, or am I just redoing what's already real for us? But the story needed to be told.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I even had some awkward conversations with people, and they're kind of like, somebody came up to me and told me that they were a racist.
Yeah.
And it's like, one, I don't know
that they were a changer, or they were like still a racist after.
That's another thing. That was like, I don't know what that means now. Does that mean like you're not a racist anymore, or do you just do you say you identify with those type of people, or are you trying to tell me that you don't know how to articulate to me, but you just appreciate the story, which is another thing that I was also trying to learn.
Mm-hmm.
But also people got up and walked out the play.
Really?
Yeah. Sometimes like when the police officers walked in or something, somebody, you know.
Were they white or Black?
They were white.
Or okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But it also let me know that, because I'm also new to theater, so when someone's like getting out, walking out the plane, and I'm going like, what's going on? Is it something we did? Are you offended in any type of way? But I will say kudos to Fayetteville. I think that's probably one of the most challenging cultural pieces they tackled.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for me personally thinking at like the university or the professional or at the Walton, you know, to do something that doesn't make it seem like everything's honky-dory all the time, but we can actually use theater, what it's intended for people to talk, have conversations in community about real things that happen.
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciate being able to help Amy Evans with that piece, because I'm a big fan of Black women writers.
Mm-hmm.
So to be able to be part of like the journey of a piece she's been working on 11 years and to take it to this moment, I learned so much about Nina Simone, because I wasn't even a really big Nina Simone fan like that until the play.
Yeah.
Like I used to listen to her when I was little, but I didn't like know who she was. I didn't know she had like a change to like activism, or, you know, that play was a very heavy journey on my heart, but also let me know what acting is possible, what's capable of it. Because I think I've grown from it. It's still wet. Like I only stopped doing it like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I really wish I I really wish just that we could have got more people of color to watch it, and I could have heard how they felt about it.
Yeah, or do you think that is kind of the I don't know a better word to use than like the fault of Fayetteville, but kind of like the fault of Fayetteville, the fault of the university, itself of not really. I don't want to say they're not trying to, because I don't want to like vilify,
Yeah, of course not.
But not really knowing how to, not knowing how to reach out to them, not really knowing how to, engage with, because I know people that are artists but would never even consider stepping foot in the theater scene when it's kind of like that's what they would need. That's
exactly where that's where it's supposed to be. That's where it's supposed to feel safe. It's supposed to be able to flourish.
Yeah, and even like on campus, I know people that are creative but would never think to go to an acting class, would never think to go to like a writing class, just to use the resources that are available to you, just to hone your craft better, and then go and share it back so people see what you can do.
Yeah. Also, it's because we're in Arkansas. I know race is a tough thing to talk. I come from California, so a lot of things I'm kind of like, why don't we all just? What's the issue? But a lot of stuff is like, Kevin, like, that's not to blame anybody around, but like, even when I moved here, for some people, race is a very. It makes them so uncomfortable. That like even we can't talk about a solution because bringing up the problem is extremely uncomfortable.
Well, yeah, because a lot of people love to think that the solution quietly happened, but it's like who solved it? You know what I'm saying? Like if you can't point to somebody that solved it, then it didn't get solved.
It didn't get solved.
So you can't live in the solution. But I mean, and I was talking with a professor, and like you said, the students or the people that walked out during the play after I think it was a Charleston protest, he had people drop his class, and his class was about race and about oppression and about all that type of stuff.
Addressing issues, yeah.
Yeah, and I think there were only 2 people of color. I think an Asian man and maybe. I don't want to get it wrong, but I think, but another woman of color, and the rest were white. And that, like, a couple of white students, after that happened, they left the class. And I was asking, I was like, do you think it was because of they didn't want to go back in a place and feel vilified, Because that's its own problem.
Yeah.
Or do you think they wanted to go back into, okay, I've learned enough, and this is really hard for me, so let me go back into my privileged ignorance bubble.
It's funny that you say that, because now the new term I've been finding out is through intersectionality that I'm somewhat mixed, because I get the privilege of being male, but I still have to deal with the issues of being black. So sometimes I get why like privileged people. Because right now the rise of like the intellectualism of what womanism and feminism is. A lot of men are being called to counter for things, and men are like, I don't want to hear like, nah, Kevin Spacey, like, you're messing up, like, no, what's the Weinstein, like,
and then one of my favorite, Louis C.K.
Oh my Louis C.K. I'm not gonna lie, I had a question when he wrote Pootie Tang, but I'm just saying.
Oh, he wrote Pootie Tang?
Louis C.K. wrote Pootie Tang. He did. But the same thing is kind of like a lot of guys are getting off the hook by things that they just done wrong, so they don't even want to hear about it. But it's like, literally the world will do better if the people who are like suffering feel better, and the people who have to be around the people who are suffering will feel better. You know what I mean? It's not like a zero sum game. You don't have to be being pro something doesn't mean you have to be anti something. Like somebody you could be down for you being down for black people doesn't mean you're not cool with white people.
Yeah.
The same way you could be pro woman and not be like, you know what I mean? Like you could. But I think some people think when they hear somebody saying something that's pro something, They
feel there has to be an opposition to it.
There has to be an opposition, so they don't even want to, as much as somebody could have sat in that play, or we could do something on campus, or they could sit in the classroom to like learn and be educated about it. Mm-hmm. Somebody feels like they're getting jumped on to where they don't even receive the information. But if the people who need to hear it aren't there, it just continues to be singing to the choir.
Yeah. But I think part of the issue is kind of like the things that we've grown up around have painted the world in a good and evil. Like there has to be, this balance of, for one, there has to exist another. And I think we need more stories that are about the gray, that are about the in-between, and about these people that you can see as a villain, but also see as a good person. And I think we're trying to do that now with movies and TV shows and stuff, but I think what we're doing instead, so if you take example for like Breaking Bad, and you take Maleficent, right?
Yeah.
Those two things, they aren't showing the gray. They're showing, oh no, these are really good people, and unfortunate things have happened to them, and they've had to deal with it. But that's not really gray, because you still come out of that seeing one is good and one is bad.
Yeah.
Like you still leave with, oh, so there is a division in the universe.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But I think no, because it does it. One of my favorite books that I would like to think does it, but the more I think about it, doesn't. Wicked, not the play, not the musical. The musical, I hate the musical, by the way. But the book,
that's big money.
The book is actually really good, and the book is focused. Like the book is more political. It's more like social commentary, And the musical is more of like, it makes the Wicked Witch to be like, she's really good. She's just sad, all the time, and she wants to find love. But in the book, it's so much more complicated, and there's like 4 other ones that follow it that go deeper into the gray of it all. And so I think if we bring more of those stories to light, we can really understand each other and know that everybody's just living.
Yeah.
And good doesn't really exist.
Yeah.
It's just, you're just a person, and people are both,
Yeah.
Like one person is good to somebody else, but they're evil to somebody, and and they don't have to be called out on it necessarily and put in a label.
Yeah.
Which we're obsessed with labels though, all the time.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's why I have a tough time sometimes. You're like, you're an actor. I'm like, I'm a lot of things. I mean, at this moment, I might be.
Yeah.
The next thing might be something else. You don't know.
Yeah. So we are away off of it where we got, but I do want to go back to you saying when you were stuck in those feelings.
The champion, yeah.
Yeah. So I was talking to Misha Hutchins. Shout out to Misha.
Shout out to Misha.
A while ago when I had her on the show, and she was talking about that too, about getting out of it, because when she was in a character, she found herself like being like mean to people because her character was mean, and it was person. And she actually brought you up saying that I guess you were trying to think of a way, or you had commented that actors really aren't taught how to get out of it.
Yeah.
And so have you come any closer to figuring out how actors can get out of it and leave that behind, really? Or
you came in with a super deep question. Right? And I'm going to bring up this lingo so you'll understand what I'm trying to say. The lingo of dropping out, and I don't mean like dropping out of school. I'm saying, in acting, they teach us this thing called dropping in so much, and this is like all the analysis and technique you work to prepare yourself before you start doing a role. You have to be able to drop into a character before you want to start a scene. And we do all this work on how to drop in, like where are they from, who are they, why are they in this situation, what are their objectives, what are their motives, what are their obstacles. We'll keep some inner life, feeling thoughts, all of these things. And nobody ever has the conversation about this play's done, or you're done for the night, you're taking off your costume, switch back into yourself after you've done all of this work on your emotional inner life and the way that you're living through a character. There's no class for that. But then it's like you do. Only reason this makes sense is you put in so much work to go in, but nobody tells you about an exit.
Yeah.
And I guess what's coming to my mind, making me think, is like maybe there is no exit. You just have to learn how to live with that extra human being that you created with you forever.
Yeah.
And people, I know that could sound like a positive growth thing, but it kind of depends on what character you were playing.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, is that what makes the tortured artist tortured? Is because they, and it's kind of like they've chosen to take up this, calling or this thing, and it's kind of like, well, that's their lot in life, and if you really make it, here's this money to deal with it.
Yeah.
But if you don't, then you become the homeless guy down the street that's really crazy. That was an actor.
And they got a bunch of monologues.
Exactly. I mean...
Well, I'll let you know I'm 2 shots away from being that person, but...
Oh, no. If you need help, there are plenty of centers and places where you can go.
Yeah.
But I don't want you to become homeless.
No. The funny thing is, actually, I've already been homeless.
Oh, my gosh. What was that like? In California or here?
Tennessee, before I went to be a great debater at Wiley College.
Oh, okay. Did you do a gap year, or was it just like you were there going to school?
No, actually, I didn't graduate high school, but I got offered a full ride scholarship.
Oh, you didn't graduate high school?
Got offered a full ride scholarship to Western Kentucky to do speech and debate because I was a really, really good competitor in high school. Mm-hmm. So they told me the only way I can come is to finish my GED. So I took my GED, got it, moved out there to Western Kentucky. First week of school, I got kicked off the team for being late to a practice.
Oh no!
So I started doing parties and open mic nights, and I was able to pay for school out of pocket for a while. And then I was like, why am I doing school if I'm making money?
Yeah.
I moved to Nashville, Tennessee, a bigger market. And when I was in Nashville, Tennessee with a couple of friends, we were doing stuff. Eventually, I just, I was like, 19, 20. Mm-hmm. I was seeing like $4,000, $5,000 a month cash. Just started, not being wise with it. Mm-hmm. And I just noticed less and less people started being around when you start having less and less money. Mm-hmm. I think I had a horrible case. Had to get out of the case.
Okay, is the case like a situation?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, case.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to play it as political as I can.
Legal stuff?
Yeah, legal stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Legal stuff. And the thing was
like druggy stuff? I'm not trying to be sensational with this interview. I'm just
no. It was drug charges.
Okay.
I didn't go to prison, but I was in jail. Okay. And the only way that I ended up getting out was on good behavior through a hearing, talking to the judge. And I told the judge it was a mistake. I'm actually a really, really talented artist. Me messing up, the judge was like, do something right now.
So you pulled out your ukulele?
I wasn't even ukuleleing yet. I was just a spoken word poet.
Okay.
And I did a poem in there. And they changed their mind. They let me be on probation instead. Mm-hmm. Told me they never want to see me again. But when I got out, I didn't pay my bills. I got out and I had nothing.
Yeah.
And then I found out my family was sick. Like my mom was having a surgery and my dad was suffering from mental illness to where he started having tics. Mm-hmm. So I moved back home to California for like 6-7 months, trying to take care of my family, get myself resituated. And that's when I got a ukulele.
Okay, it was then.
That's when I got my first ukulele.
Yeah, because I was wondering, because you're from California, but then you went to all these like country states.
And when I was in California, I get the call from Texas about being a Wiley College great debater.
Yeah.
And getting my degree, because besides that, I've just been out there with a GED.
Yeah. So you are getting called up left and right. I'm telling you, it's something special because you got called up for one thing, and then they were like, just go get a GED, we'll still take you. Yeah. And then you just like go back across the country, and then another place calls you up and they're like, oh yeah, come on here. What happened? I don't care. And just come back. And then the champion thing with like no experience like on that level of stageness.
Favorite phrase is blessed and highly favored.
There we go.
Blessed and highly favored. It's funny though, because I used to be really angry I wasn't a child star. Right?
Really?
Like Disney and Nickelodeon, I used to watch those when I was little. Like, oh yeah, no, all that. I belong on all that.
Yeah. So were your parents were they not like any like stage
No, I was sports
parents?
kids. Sports.
Oh, okay.
Sports,
What did you play?
Sports. I actually did stuff year round. Track and field,
Okay.
soccer, football, basketball, wrestling, baseball, just year round. And then I got injured in football, hurt my neck, started doing speech and debate for the rest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's so crazy. And then that's why when my parents came and saw the champion, that's the first time they saw me like.
Oh, okay.
And they're like, we don't know if we know you. Who is this black person? Like, you're great at this, but like, we feel like we're just meeting you for the first time.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna ask you. So you're the youngest of four, right?
The youngest of four.
Okay. And see, a lot of like the youngest, they go into like the artsy, person. But you were an artsy late bloomer.
Super late bloomer.
Yeah. So I guess where did this performer come from? Did it come from speech and debate, or?
Yeah, I want to say speech and debate. Or? I want to say because when I was even doing sports. Like when I was hanging out with people, like I'd always be the person who's like trying to rap or had like a song or something, and then people started making fun of it, so I went like emo and poet, and I did like HBO's Brave New Voices poetry, and I won the World Slam when I was 18.
Oh, there we go. I don't know what that is, but that sounds amazing.
It's a spoken word poetry slam. I had to do 13 poems sudden death all the way to the top. And it was recorded on HBO's Deaf Poetry Jam in like 2008, 2009.
Oh my gosh, so it's like on like HBO?
Yeah, it's on HBO Go right now.
Oh my gosh, I gotta find this. Hold on.
Oh no, I look so weird. I'm so young and baby faced. You don't want to see
I'm gonna find this. We're gonna find this.
My face ain't grew into my body yet. Yo, didn't look at that. Oh no.
No, we're definitely gonna.
It's funny as you say. I super feel like a late bloomer. I actually don't feel like I'll get really close to my prime. Probably till I'm like 40.
Really?
Yeah.
But now.
Because like at 27, I still don't get stuff. I still don't get a lot of stuff.
I feel like that's everybody. I feel like I hear people all the time that are like 50 and they're like, I'm just coming into me, and I'm like,
that's them healthy kale drinking people.
I guess so.
You know.
But you're not really a late bloomer. I mean, because you were doing all this. I mean, like HBO at 18, or was it?
I feel like I never went to performance arts high school or middle school or those magnet schools. Mm-hmm. You know, I've just now ever started taking singing lessons. Okay. You know, I just now ever started reading. Like when people bring up plays all the time, even at the school or just in the city, I don't know all of these plays that people know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, oh man, I gotta learn all this back stuff of what's going on.
Yeah.
But I also like is I feel like I'm not super tired in my hunger for stuff now, because that's why I was like, oh, I want to be on all that or Nickelodeon. I look at how some of the people are doing now, and I'm like, thank you God for not giving me that early, because some of them don't even look like, you know, I don't know what happened to Amanda Bynes or Kel. Keenan's on SNL, but what happened to Kel?
Yeah.
Shia LaBeouf, I don't know what's going on in his brain, you know. What happened to Ren? What happened to Ren?
That's right. You know what? I think that some of these child actors, I think they play it right. I think they do their thing, they get their money, and then they go be quiet. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I think if you don't hear from a child actor, I think they're doing pretty, like they're doing all right, you know?
Raven Simone's crazy.
But she just started getting crazy. Before when
Raven Simone show, she probably wasn't. Okay, you're right.
Exactly. Like when she was not trying to be on TV again, she was great. Like she was great, right? And then she went on Oprah to do like, where are they now? And then she said, like, I'm not black and all that stuff. But I mean, she didn't say that. She said like, I think she said I'm not like African American. But then she went on The View and went like super leftist liberally and just said stuff about everything. And I was like, okay, Raven.
Bow Wow, what happened to Bow Wow?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, I'm glad. Because now I get to have my childhood.
Yeah, but I think the problem is that they try to go back into it, and they should not go back into it.
I see what you're saying. The chapter's over.
Exactly.
That's the sad
but
thing.
people don't really know that. People think endings are a bad thing. You know, embrace the ending, embrace the finality in life, and they'd be so much happier. You know,
it's because the R&B songs, Riley. Don't nobody want their life to be a sad R&B song when it's over.
But it doesn't have to be sad. It can be a happy over. It can be a Mary, it's over.
Okay.
You know, it can be super happy.
Okay. I hope it's like that when I graduate from the U of A. I hope that it's such a happy over.
Yeah. I guess so.
Besides that, I do want to say shout out to Brittany Walker Marriott. She was also a champion,
yes,
and she was phenomenal. She's been really helpful because she graduated from the U of A. Grant Hockenborough, he's also from the MFA. He's in third year. Bryce Kemp, he was in the champion. He graduated from the program. Curtis Longfellow, undergrad, graduated. Joy Jones, learned so much from. She's so awesome. Like every night during the champion, well, not every night. Opening night, we did concerts to where she would sing Nina Simone songs with the real Al Shackman in Real Life Came, and watching her do that.
Was that just opening night or was that every night? Wait, when?
I would think it was just opening night, but I think they did it 2 nights. I think they did it 2 nights. Oh, it was so good. It was so good. It was so good. And the funny thing is actually the playwright for the champion, Amy Evans, was my dramaturgy and helped me with Island Trap.
Yeah.
So that was the dream that I was like, because I'm such a big fan of Amy Evans.
Yeah, so how did she get down here? She's from New York, right?
Yeah, and I think she did some time in the UK. Like she did some writing in the UK too, yeah.
How'd she get down here?
I have no idea how she got connected down here at Theater Square.
Yeah. So Island Trap, let's talk about that.
Island Trap.
So I did not know this, that it was an adaptation for Odyssey.
Yes.
So did you choose that because I guess it was a class assignment, or what drew you to that?
The funny thing with Island Trap is, first and foremost, one of the main pieces of that was actually like a poem that I wrote when I was like, it was the first slam poem that I ever wrote, is in this piece. So it's kind of like, it's been like a long piece culminating. But before it came to the part where it became a one-person show, first I wanted to make an album of just poems, and then one of my friends was like, no one's gonna listen to that, that's dumb. Even though now
supportive friend.
I know, right? And then I was like, okay, well then I'll make it half poems and half songs.
Yeah.
And then I came here and took a playwriting class my first semester, and I was like, oh, all plays don't have a specific form. I can make whatever I want.
Mm-hmm.
The Hamilton buzz was big. I think they just won a bunch of stuff. And I was like, I think I got an idea. So I wrote some stuff out. It didn't really make sense. And then we had an adaptation class where the idea is to adapt. And I was like, what adaptation? And then one of the professors was like, it's like hip hop remixing something. I said, oh, I get that. Like sampling something old, making it new. They're like, yeah. And he explained that like there's tight adaptations where you try to do it just like, or loose adaptations where you kind of, do your own thing with it. And because I was an English major, which was really weird for undergrad because they say English majors don't know how to get jobs, we had to study the epic poem Homer's Odyssey. Mm-hmm. And the tough thing about me when I used to look at that piece was I liked it, but I couldn't identify with it the way that I wanted to because it didn't have people that look like me nor talk like me in that situation. But I feel like, and I also feel like that's why there's a big detachment for a lot of black people with the American literary canon. Yeah. But the whole time I was an English major, I was like, all this stuff you guys are talking about, and I like to read, but y'all don't bring up stuff that I would like to read. Like I actually, I'm a nerd. I love to read. Like I'll sit, I'll really read a book if I'm really into it. Yeah. But they never pick anything that would. So I had to read that type of stuff. But now I was in grad school and they're allowing me to do some writing at the same time. I was like, wait a minute. How can I already do poems. How can I take a poem, turn it to a story, so it'd be like an epic poem, but it'd be something that I could do at my neighborhoods, my people, my family reunion back at my HBCU, and we love it, and we still get that richness of text. Because sometimes, and I don't mean to say to knock on everybody, but sometimes black entertainment can come off minstrel or caricature and not be that good because it's slapstick. So a lot of times people don't think that the text is rich or really deep story. So I was trying to find a way, something that could be like given back to us to where we can claim a story and it still have a high level of consciousness
Yeah.
that you can connect it to or apply it to.
Which, speaking of like blacks or the stereotype like of black stories, I guess.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this the other day of I think we have an obsession a little bit, like as a people or as an American black people, as like we want to do it for everybody. You know, we want to do it for all the black people, you know? And I think art really works when you do it for yourself first. I think maybe, you know what I mean? Because I've had conversations with people and they're like, oh, they're just trying to be deep and it loses all of it. Because I don't know if that's how you feel. Because you're just doing that because you know that's what black people want to hear from a black person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do the art that you want to do.
Yeah.
You know? And that's what I really liked about Island Trap was that it felt like your story. It didn't feel like somebody was telling me, here is the black story. You know what I mean? Like, it felt like, no, this is Austin Ashford's story of leaving, of going off and having these adventures, you know? And so that kudos, you know, to you for that, for not following in what I consider like the black creative stereotype.
Yeah.
Of trying to speak for all black people.
I appreciate that because I somewhat feel that burden since I've been here at the school. You know, people because like, oh, my classmate, I'll be the only black person in the class.
And that's the thing with the South and with like these super small minority things is that it's like you feel pressure to do that, and even from people that are well-meaning, they want you to be that. And I think we have to start being a little bit selfish, like the creative, you know, people do, of being like, no, like I have my story just like you have your story. Like I'm not asking you to write for every, you know, white cis guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not asking you to do that. So don't ask me to do that for every black person. Let me write for me. You know?
Yeah. No, I think that would be a beautiful thing. I think that even be a beautiful thing within the black culture because there's so many subgenres within blackness that if other people don't try to tell their specific stories within blackness, we won't be able to see the whole spectrum. Because even for now, it's like
we kind of have.
We still. I don't even want to say something. It seems like I've made any progression. Yeah. I don't think blackness has cracked the stereotype of not having to stay the stereotype yet.
We've added a third one. So before it was super churchy, super thuggy. Now it's like super churchy, super thuggy, neo-soul awkward.
Neo-soul awkward!
That's what we like, and that's what we have now. That's the three that you can be if you're black. You can be those three things, and that's it. You know?
I will say I do appreciate the neo-soul awkward.
No, I love it.
Because we didn't used to, and now it's super okay for me to like Donald Glover and Solange. Whereas 15 years ago, that wasn't okay. Mm-mm. So I do love that aspect of it.
Yeah. It's always great to add into it. You know? But I mean, like, there's more stuff in between all that, you know, that we just have to keep on exploring.
Yeah. I find a lot of it still, and I guess it might be because from the generation that I come from is our parents are like really strict. So the things that like I'm still fine. I was like, oh, is it okay that we're talking about this? Yeah, and not done. You know, even though it's like, no, it's fine. You're clearly older now talking about it, but you know, it sounds bad. I don't want to say it's like as a black person, I don't want to tell on black people. So someone got something to expose of us. I would hope that like if I was to say something that was a personal experience that. One, a black person can identify with it and know that, you know, like some people think that black people don't deal with suicide.
Yeah.
Like what the, why would you think that?
It's like wrong people.
Like we don't, you know, but because like in the way that they have stories, it's not set up like that, that when somebody has those type of thoughts, they think they're even crazier than they are because, you know, but at the same time, I don't want to. It's that weird balance of saying like, all right, I also don't want to make it seem like, oh, black people want to commit suicide. You know what I mean? So it's like finding that weird balance of like, oh no, this is this story, trying to make it super specific. So, and who knows? Maybe even that would be like the gateway open for somebody who isn't black to be like, oh, I'm not black, but I kind of know how I felt when I felt down or when I wanted to harm myself. So maybe that's my way in. But if somebody is already like, oh, but that's not the stereotypical minstrel black stuff that I like, and they won't watch it. So I just hope that someone gives it a chance to have a different experience. Like one of my favorite movies is Crash.
Yeah.
I love Crash. I'm not sure if something will be better than Crash. Just because, and I didn't like the movie because it was like, oh, it was multicultural diverse, but it was people of different walks of life in the same space, and it made sense. Like that's how people really operate in the same space. And I was able to feel for all those people and even learn from like, you know, I'm not Persian, but I'm watching this piece and I can feel it, but I also knew I had to give it a chance. Because I also think Crash probably a movie that a lot of people wouldn't give it a chance. So
yeah,
I hope they do that with Island Trap. Give it a chance.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they should. They will.
I hope so. I hope so. Because I even think of them like I'm really reaching to all the creatives to come out. Because I was also thinking, I was like, I don't know how I would be able to promote this to like a 40-year-old white guy. But don't they have enough? Like, you got enough pieces. Like, you got.
Oh goodness.
You know, you can go watch Thor. Like,
did you see Thor?
I did watch Thor.
I love Thor. We talked about this earlier.
Yes. Shout out to the Val Crying Tessa Thompson. Just plug. She's amazing. She's amazing.
Love her.
And I would do the last quick shameless plug. Shout out to the entire Lion King cast. I was jealous, Brad, that I didn't have a chance.
I know.
I would have lit up Lion King. Timon or Pumbaa, I could have been either or. Okay, everybody else is all stars. I get it, but Timon or Pumbaa, I could have done.
You know, I would love to have been. They changed his name, but I would have loved to be Ed, one of the hyenas. He just gets to laugh.
I hope the Migos get to be the hyenas.
No, they already cast them. Yeah, they had the full cast out.
They already cast the hyenas. They need to change it to
It's
Migos.
Keegan-Michael Key is one of them. One of the actresses from Black Panther is.
Okay, now that's the other movie I'm mad that I'm not in.
Is Black Panther.
That's the one that I want.
Everybody wants to be in Black Panther.
That's the one that I want.
Everybody
That's
wants to
the
be
one that I want. And I don't really like being villain characters, and I would so be a villain character.
In
Black
that
Panther.
one? I want to be.
Fine.
I want to be just one of the people in the other tribe that just gets like 30 seconds. I'm just like, oh, there's me. Like I'm fine with that.
But you know what's funny? The hood will love you for that.
They love
the hood will love you for that, bro. You'd never be able to live away from that clip though. 30, 40 years.
If that's the only claim to fame I have, I'm great.
Oh my gosh. I hope I get to make it to those little people some way, somehow. Some way we'll get in. We'll crack through there.
Hopefully.
We'll get through that. No, it's no-fully. We know we're going to get through that.
Oh, I love that. No-fully.
Yes.
It sounds negative, but it's not. It's all about that K. Let me see. What else?
Are you going to be able to make it outside Island Trap?
Of course.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, that's what I was going to talk to you about. So I've seen it once before. I saw it, was it last year? Or you were from last?
No, all this year. Every Island Trap, all stuff has happened in 2017.
Oh my gosh, look at you go. My mind is not where it needs to be that I'm like, oh, that
it was because it was like the last, because the summer happened, it was a spring semester, and we're like,
there we go, that's what it was.
Winter is coming, so.
Yes. So, let me see. Okay, so you've done it twice. Or have you done it more than twice? Because you did it at the one that I came to, and then at the New Playwrights Festival, right?
Yeah, the New Play Festival, it was a reading, and that was difficult because.
But I thought you were on your. You were.
No, in 404, the first time I was on my feet.
Yeah. But you had a music stand on the other one. Okay.
Yeah. So it was like the first crack at it was like the end of that adaptation class that me and the director just put out, and we just invited people like, hey, come check it out.
Yeah.
And the artistic director of Theater Square came and watched, and was like, so I told me about this piece, but now I've seen it, I want to invite you to develop this play at the New Play Festival. Mm-hmm. And it was and that play festival was the first thing I ever did in theater the year before for being the champion.
Yeah.
So I was being invited back to the festival, which was the first thing that I ever did, but now instead of helping with somebody else's play, I was doing my own original work. Yeah. So that part, that just got me all giggity kitty. Yeah. And they're like, we're gonna have a dramaturge for you, we have a director for you, have a stage manager. And I was like, dramaturge? And they're like, yeah, Amy Evans is gonna help you edit the play.
So that's how you met her?
No, that's her coming back.
Oh, there we go, because it was Champion Reading, then Island Trap, then
Champion
play. Okay.
And then
now
Island Trap again.
oh my god! You know what's the next step, and I don't want to jinx it.
You're not gonna jinx it. You're talking it into existence. I feel it. Come on, bring it.
The next step is the champion's gonna go to like Broadway or something. And
Come
you're
on.
Gonna be like, oh, Austin, we want you to come to New Orleans.
Come on with it. Come on with it. And then what happens?
And then you get a Tony.
And then.
And then they write you into the Lion King for a new role.
I like that, but there's still something that did, because what always happens after the champion? Island Trap's going to Broadway, baby!
There we go. Sorry. I wasn't looking big enough for you.
I gave you the Lion King. I don't know what else you want.
I don't know what else.
Yeah.
So I guess so of course Broadway, but like what else do you want to do with Island Trap, I guess, after you're showing this coming up week?
I would really like to turn Island Trap into a series. I like that to be something that like a one-person show that I keep adding chapters onto as I grow.
Mm-hmm. All live, or are you gonna like record it?
Well,
YouTube.
Well, hopefully this version we do on the 28th. I've met some amazing Black excellence professionals as far as visual is concerned.
Yeah, shout out to all of them.
And they're literally helping me like record Island Trap like it's gonna be a Netflix special.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, I'm really working on Island Trap being a big part of my thesis when I graduate. Hopefully I can meet some cartoonists.
Mm-hmm.
In some sections, I'd like it to be like actually like cartoon transforming into the live performance, and then maybe make some like music video stuff with it. So it could be a multimedia project.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to actually take it step by step. And I'd also like to print the text so somebody else could try to do it.
Oh yes.
I mean, I'd love to tour it. I would love to tour it around the world. That's what I would love to do. I'd love the soundtrack to go really well, because I plan on recording the soundtrack.
Because I asked you a while ago, I was like, "Where's the CD? Where can I buy this?" Because I want.
And you don't know how honored I am that you said that. Now that we've had our anime conversation about music.
Oh my god!
So the fact that you would Shazam my music.
I was in there like, do I know this? Is this Shazam? I can't get close enough to the stage, but. No, seriously, like I would.
So you would really like listen to this music outside of the show?
I would.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to. I plan to get it recorded. I plan to get it recorded and put it out like an EP. It'd be like 6 tracks, 7 tracks.
Is it only that?
Well, see now that I have like 5 poems too.
Oh, okay.
So I
just
don't know
like
if I put them together.
Yeah, just
would
do
people,
like
would people want
interludes.
both on one CD though? Or
I mean,
just, or
I
people
feel
just
like
want music?
people listen to skits and interviews on albums nowadays, so they can do a poem. Beyonce did it. So why not?
I mean, I didn't know I could go the same standard as Beyonce.
I mean, speak it into existence.
Speak, okay. All right, I'll speak that beehive into existence. Yeah, no, I would like to have something like a visual album like Lemonade for Island Trap, but I would like it to be mixed with like the actual live show weaving into it. But I'm working with some really cool people now who said that it's possible. I told them it was a wild dream, and they're like, no, we can still do this. They're already doing stuff so fast that I didn't even know it was possible. And that's why I'm so appreciative, because I've been in favor for like a year and a half, and I was just all down in the dumps, like, I want to meet other Black creative people. I'm not encouraged. And out of nowhere, just bam, just beautiful, incredibly talented.
It will come. Like, it will just like flop. That's the secret.
Oh, come on, law of attraction. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, law of attraction.
I didn't read the book. I just watched the video a bunch of times, but yeah, I think I get it.
Yeah, no, you got it.
But
I'm hoping that. So where Island Trap is now is we've done comic performance, we've done a development, and even this time we've done another development before. So this is like this is like the re-debut, I guess.
So
and I've never gone full production.
Okay, so what has changed from what we saw a while ago? I mean, like, no spoilers, of course, but like, what are you excited that you added onto it?
Clarity. I think, and I thank God for it. But a lot of people have told me that I'm really talented, but I think just talent up on the stage, blah, 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 whatever. But if someone has like a focused goal of something you're trying to do in clarity, then I could appreciate the art separate from a talented person. Like, this is also just a really good piece. I think through the last couple of developments, been able to, like, some of the characters or some of the poems and songs, have been able to add a lot more detail to them and been able to get to the heart that exists of it more. Just so someone isn't leaving on some like, oh, just watch this guy walk around with a ukulele, but be able to digest a story and actually be touched to where it touches their heart, and maybe somebody like me to where they might walk past when I have a conversation with, they might be a little interested, more so on some like, oh, black guy with a ukulele, instead of like, oh, black guy, you know.
What folk songs is he making into rap music now?
Yeah.
You know?
Also, I think there's been a lot more, because there's some dense things in the piece I wasn't sure people were ready for in the other two runs. People show me that they could take the heavy stuff with the humor, that I allow it to come through more naturally. Because I think before I was maybe hiding some of the dramas. I don't want the audience to like be super sad or anything. I was like, let's just stay happy all the time.
Yeah.
But this,
do you mean the personal stuff or the racial stuff?
A little bit of both.
Okay, because I did not catch this the first time I watched it, but when I watched it back in the clips that you provided, I noticed that when you were talking to your dad on the phone, you were saying like, I can't write here, I don't want to be the next guy. Did you use lynched or did you? Okay. Yeah, like I don't want to be that, who's gonna come save me? And like I didn't catch that in the beginning. I was like, oh, okay, so it's not just this guy leaving to find himself. He really feels like he has to go, but also to find himself. And then I have a question.
Yeah.
So is that why you left California? Or was it just because of the school opportunity thing? It's
a parallel of all of that. I'm so glad that you caught all of that. And those are also some of the things that got fine-tuned with the piece this time, was because, you know, like as the piece goes, like, or you start to, the character gets revealed more. But I think that very beginning section where you find out where the character has to make a decision is important, because a lot of black people feel like that now. Like, you know, with so much stuff going on, we feel like we have to get up, but where are we going to go? Where are we going to go? How are we going to get fixed? And I did feel like that in California, because I didn't come from LA. I came from the Bay, which is like Oakland, San Francisco, San Jose. So TV and all that stuff wasn't where we was at. It was like a couple of hours down south. And it was like, I want to make it, but it costs so much to live in California. I don't make it like my folks make or anything. I don't even... And school, I couldn't even afford school in California, so I had to wait for somebody else to contact me or find a way to go somewhere else. And it was weird. I'm going all these other places to be an artist, when people are like, why don't you want to be in California to be an artist? Like, that's where you go to be an artist. Yeah. But I think the stories do parallel in a way of like, you're wondering like, why does Ulysses or Black Ulysses have to go on this journey, you know, to find all these things? But it's like, it's through these like journeys that you find out. You find your definition of home, I think, sometimes, through not being at home. And I think that's how it parallels in a lot of ways. And it was funny how the title came about, just the irony of the words island and trap.
And you isolated I rap, which I did not catch the first time. I was like, oh, he raps it.
I'm so glad you said you're not catching this stuff the first time, because I'm really trying to have it be a piece that's layered, that it can last through time.
Yeah.
Especially
like it's an onion. Like it's an onion.
Woo! Thank you, Jesus, for the onion.
So yeah, do you think you'll go back after your
this?
Yeah. Well, I mean, not necessarily right after this, but you know, after finding yourself, I guess, like in the geographical location, or that's the same way, wherever you're at, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Do you think you'll go back to California or a different place you want to go to?
This is where I'm torn. Atlanta's growing in screen.
Yes.
Atlanta's growing in the screen, and it's growing in a beautiful black way, to where I don't feel like I'd have to, in LA or New York, I wouldn't have to like fake the funk to make to disarm somebody, make somebody feel comfortable around my blackness. And when I was younger, I didn't used to think that used to be a thing, but I'm like, no, I've now grown to learn that I like working with black people who think similarly, just because then I don't have to always think about like, am I like, is my presence making this person feel fearful? Am I threatening this person?
Yeah.
Or am I, you know?
Were you in a super, I guess like, mixed place in where you grew up and stuff? Or
it was a mixed place, but even though it was mixed, black people were still treated like below the Hispanics, below the Asians, below the, so it took until I came to the South to really see black in big, bold numbers and beauty.
Really?
Yeah. You know, so I saw some black people, you know, we saw some like in Oakland, saw some South, but the numbers compared to Asians and Hispanics, the ratio, and that's not even counting white people, the ratio is so small. So not until I went to an HBCU, I'm like, oh, we're capable of this? This is incredible. And then after I got all that knowledge from the HBCU, I went back to a PWI, and I just couldn't get it. I just couldn't, I couldn't understand why I'm in a classroom and a teacher doesn't even recognize that the language and words and rhetoric they use towards me are different than all of my classmates. And that's not to say like they're a bad person, but I don't even think that they recognize the way that they treat me by the way they were conditioned or they were trained.
Yeah. Oh, I was listening to this great thing. So I don't know if you know who Red Pill Black is. She's a black conservative girl. I think she's like around our age. And so she said that she came about her conservatism, you know, and her leaving of the liberal stuff because she really was awakened to, how does she phrase it? The bigotry and low expectations from liberals that they do every day. And they don't realize that they're doing it because they just think that, like this is how to be a good person to black people, is to not necessarily know the low expectations, but there's a fetishization of victimhood, of giving black people victimhood, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of where we are now, just culturally, is that everybody's fighting for victimhood. Yeah. You know? And it's addictive.
Yeah.
It's addictive to be a victim.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, as messed up as that, you know, kind of sounds just like that kind of goes against what we would think would be the thing, you know?
But that's why I've been feeling so blessed by being able to connect with other like amazing black creators.
So they don't treat you like that.
And I feel encouraged. I feel encouraged, you know, sometimes they just give you that little extra of like, hey man, that was really cool, or I like that, or, you know, in certain ways, or sometimes when I find myself in a majority white space, I don't get that encouragement. You know, it feels like there's a little bit more judgment, a little bit of a side eye. It's not really like, it doesn't feel like a complete welcome. And that's not to say that like, you know, since I've been here and I've had conversations with 4 or 5 people told me like, you're the first black person I had a conversation with. And I'm like, you can't give me that pressure. You can't give me that pressure. I'm not about to, no.
That's weird.
But I'm like, and as much as I don't want to think so, there's still communities where somebody could grow up
and never see one.
And never have to interact. And as much as I'm like, nah, that's not possible. Maybe in the 80s and 90s, like, nah, those communities still exist, which makes me really recognize how much we are of a ratio in a country. And that's separate from like incarceration and stuff. But at the same time, I liked how like I went to a small HBCU, but we didn't feel like victims. We felt super empowered, super encouraged. I found out about so many people
no one was there to make you feel that way. Like no one was there to, I don't know, was not apologize for your presence. You know what I mean? But it's like
nobody ever said, "Oh, you're just a black guy around here."
Well, not even that. But the guilt of someone not black affects the black person more than affects the person feeling the guilt. Yeah. Because then they want cookies.
For every little thing.
For having guilt. And then you have to give them, you know what I'm saying?
And that's that weird conversation of like, it's not about you and this is becoming about you. It's not about you and it's becoming, and that's another thing tied in. I know a lot of guys don't like to hear, but that's kind of the same thing how it kind of goes with as far as gender. Like even when like a guy's getting like on some like, yo, black men are one of the biggest reasons why black women are dying. That's a stat CDC prove. I don't know these arguments on Facebook, and I don't run through some of the arguments on Facebook. And that's a tough thing to like digest. And I have some friends who still some like, no man, there's so many things that women are going through. It's not all blackness. Like, nah, bro. Like, look at the stats. Like, the violence and the abuse. We're the ones doing it. They're not killing themselves. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's a tough thing to like digest. We gotta know that fact in order to change it. And I feel like it's that same thing where it's like, if we're talking about a woman being abused, don't make it about, I feel like I did. It's not about you. It's not about you, bro. Yeah. It's about the person who's being. And I feel like it should be the same thing when it kind of comes to race. Like, instead of like teachers like telling me how hard it is for them to act because in New York there's so many white people who look like them. I'm like, what? This conversation, how did this become about you? Mm-hmm. But I've also, through like this weird rabbit hole, whenever I have like a weird conversation like that, for some reason some gem comes and somebody comes along and explains to me that when it comes to art, it's not as narrow as people make you think it is. And that's I think another thing that I've been loving about Island Trap is because as much as like before Hamilton came out, to me theater was something Shakespeare, da 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 da, and even if someone's still going like this, but they got a little rap to it. It's like, oh, you opened a little bit of a peephole of something that I would like. Mm-hmm. That lets me know that like I might have somewhat of a place in this world, and that when people, just because what you think poetry is and what I think poetry is, my poetry has a place here too. Yeah. So I think finding those out in like the little. And I usually don't ever find out that stuff until I have like a really rough episode with somebody where someone's kind of like, you're kind of doing like this, and I'm like, look, I don't do Satan. Yeah. Okay? But at the same time, you don't know Rick Ross and Gucci. Mm-hmm. Don't, just because somebody likes something and that's not your style doesn't mean that other people don't like it. So I guess what I've been finding, let me chop off my tongue right now. Because I actually have been getting some really great responses from people that aren't black about Island Trap. Mm-hmm. So let me cut off my tongue. And that surprised me though. Because a part of me was like, wow, y'all liked it. It's not for y'all. In that very weird, I guess like Kendrick way. You know what I mean? Like I know people love Kendrick, but you gotta know a lot of that music is for like a specific group of people who are hurting.
It's kind of like when I saw this record store. They were doing this big thing about getting the Solange album a seat at the table because like it was the red vinyl edition, so it was like a big deal. Mm. And this girl like held it up, and I was like, "But like you know what this record is about, right? Like right? You know what I'm saying?" And so, it took me back, and I was like, but I think that's kind of a thing that's kind of like an American thing is that it doesn't matter if it's not for me. I'm going to take it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I'm going to consume it, and you can't stop me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we all, all Americans have grown up kind of with that entitlement of like, well, I'm gonna take it anyway. I don't care if it's not for me. I'm gonna take it. Like anime, that was never for anybody over here.
Shout out to Avatar: The Last Airbender. There we go. Anime is great, and I love it. I'm an Avatar. I don't care anybody says.
Oh, what?
The last black Avatar. Right?
Oh, you're the Avatar. Okay.
I just need to get the arrow on my head. I'm so ready.
There you go.
I
could see it. I could see it fitting in.
I definitely have lyrics about me being like Aang if somebody buys the Island Trap project. I definitely have bars in there about
Oh my gosh. Is that in this new rendition of it or no? Is
I'm
that
only reason I'm not sure.
A deluxe cut.
It has to be the deluxe cut. It'd be on the CD because the songs are a little bit shorter in the live show just so people can get home at a respectable time.
Oh, thank you.
No, I hate long theater. I get restless in my seat.
Mm-hmm. And if there's no intermission, I'm like,
no. But we gonna be done by hour and 10. I promise. Hour and 10. Promise.
Thank you so much.
That's shorter than some services. Okay.
There we go. I'm like, that's not even 9 minutes. That is great. But
people are gonna have to get in there early though. Seats are limited.
Yes, seats are limited. It starts at doors open at 7.
Doors open at 7. Show starts at 7:30. First come, first serve.
Yes, 404 Kimple.
404 Kimple Hall. This is part of the KCACTF.
What is that?
Kentucky Center American Conference Theater Festival or American Theater Conference Festival. So the performance on the 28th is actually going to have 2 judges there.
Oh, okay.
And if they give me the nomination, I'll be taking this exact same piece to Texas in March. And if it does good there, I get to take it to finals at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., all expense paid for.
See, look at this stuff.
I'm entered in 7 playwriting categories.
I'm telling you. Next up, Lion King. It's happening. No, that's amazing. That's great. See, like, I didn't know all this stuff was happening with, Island Trap. And it's and really, yours is the only one-person show that I've seen get its legs and, like, run as far as it's been running.
Oh, thanks.
And I don't think the track is running out. I mean,
I hope that it's gearing up. What's funny? I don't know really how to sell something like this to other people. I'm like, how do you?
But you're selling it. I mean, like, but it's getting sold. Like,
I mean, and it is. People are asking me about it, but I'm like, I don't know how to tell somebody about, like, the one thing that I think I tried to steal from anything that I got in writing is from Moby Dick. Who wrote it? Herman Hemville. Can't remember. Mm-hmm. The reason why the book novel Moby Dick was so amazing from what I learned when I was in English was the book was almost genreless. Mm-hmm. You can't, like, there's pages where it's straight prose, straight poetry, and then there's, like, weird dialogue, like play type stuff, and Little to a point was like, when you look at it, it's like, I don't know what genre this is.
What's this called?
Moby Dick. You know about the big whale and Ahab, Captain Ahab?
Yeah, I didn't catch the name. I know Moby Dick.
Yeah.
I've never read it, but...
Oh, because they make all those boo-boo movie remakes over it, and nobody cares.
I've never watched the movies. Okay, was Thor in one of those movies?
Yes.
Yes.
But when, like, because I had to read the book, we had to study all these chapters, I'm looking at it, and I'm like the person who wrote Moby Dick, like, they wanted to be bigger or whatever as a writer, but that was probably the biggest thing they wrote, and the coolest thing about it was that it was genreless, and what I think is so cool about now in time, if you listen to, like, the music and art our generation's coming up with, we blend a lot of stuff to where you're starting to lose lines of genres. But I feel like that hasn't came into the theater that distinctly yet. Mm-hmm. I think when somebody does something still very clear, like, no, you're very clearly doing this, or you're very clearly doing this. People don't have, like, a blend to where it's like, oh. And that's why I wanted to really put the idea of, like, Island Trap together, of, like, oh, I'm blending poems with beatboxing, ukulele, monologue, dialogue, crowd interaction, but then I'll put the fourth wall right back up, then I'll rip it back off. To where someone's be like, what did you just watch? I really want them to be like, it was an experience.
Yeah.
Like, I can't call it a comedy, I can't call it a drama. And even if I do want to call it a one-person show, it doesn't look like any other one-person show I've seen before, so it's... Because I think if somebody gets something like that, then possibly they'll be introduced to other things. Mm-hmm. Like, if somebody who really likes music, hopefully this can introduce them to, like, poetry a little bit more. Or somebody who really likes dialogue, maybe they'll like music or rap just a little bit more, just so, to... One of my favorite lines with Drake was he talked about how hippies are going to start having to kick it with some hood people. Because the way that his shows are put together, he puts people from different backgrounds together in the same space to where they all, like, ride the same vibe. So I'm really hoping that what this piece can do is take people like, who like their super, like, peaceful island type stuff, people who like the really heavy, like trap or gangster stuff, or people who like spoken word poetry and theater, they can come to the same space and be like, wow, we both really, like, vibe with this, even though it's not necessarily something I've seen before or felt before. Mm-hmm. And I also feel like the rise of rap is coming in theater after what Hamilton opened up, and I really want to be able to be part of that wave of opening up in an interesting way. Yeah. That I can still say that I can claim it for ours, and I don't mean to say it's like not Hamilton in any way. I feel like it was very clean and beautiful, but rap gets dirty and messy sometimes. Mm-hmm. And when I hear about this, because I never saw it, so I'm not gonna knock it like I've seen it. But when I've heard some of the tracks, it's like the people who I know who listen to rap, they're not about to listen to those type of songs. But if people make songs for the people who like love like Yo Gotti or like Rick Ross or Migos, but also like a J. Cole or Kendrick would like a piece like this because they see themselves, identify themselves, and it's music that they would listen to on the regular outside of the musical. Mm-hmm. I think from with some musicals that I hear now, it's like, no, I like that song, but only if I'm like, listen to the musical. Don't put this on my regular anime playlist. You know what I mean? Like,
you are coming from me with these playlists.
Hey, look, okay, I love it. I ain't got no shame on a Pokemon, okay? Gotta catch 'em all.
See, no, not that.
You
No,
don't wanna catch 'em all.
It's only when you're on the routes. That's the best music right there. Route music, I think it's that's one of my favorite ones. Pokemon Emerald, Route 15, best one in the world. Would you want to expand, I guess, so you've already said that you want to like do it in like chapters. You want to like expand it in chapters. Would you ever want to add other actors, add other players into the mix of it?
I definitely do want to.
Okay.
I definitely do want to. I think with the first creation of this, me finding out what like the possible world can be, because I really want to turn island trap into a genre. I want that to be an entire genre where, because I feel like in a very weird way, it's part of that neo soul awkwardness movement in a very like cool way though. I would love to see what other, and that's another reason why I want to get the piece like printed out, because I'd also like to see what some other people could just like look at the script and do with it. Mm-hmm. But right now I'm trying to make sure that there's so many gems that it has like all these beautiful layers, just because when I listen to like, and the reason that's a big reason I put the I rap in there is because I love the effect of I am that I am, and that's claiming things. And rap is really an acronym the same way R&B is. You know, rhythm and blues. So rap would be
rhythm and poetry?
Exactly.
Okay. So
when somebody's looking at it, it's like island trap, but it's also like I am rhythm and poetry.
Yeah.
So I really want to have that stamp and label, and I'm like, because right now I feel like spoken word poetry and like the music of rap, you never really get those artists in one. So you're a really good poet when you do music, it's like usually too conscious and I can't write the beat, or if you're a really cool rapper and you take the beat off, it's like you're not saying anything with enough density. Mm-hmm. So hopefully that this work could create something to where I want to create pieces where like all of the characters could like do crazy like musical things within the story, and it not be like Disney musical Broadway genre style. It'd be more like a, this kind of this new wave of like Chance the Rapper, Donald Glover, or people are like really like rap singing and breaking up the beat a lot. Because I think that could exist in theater in a really cool way, to where our generation or our people can reclaim the theater and now we'll want to go. But right now, I don't think people want to go to the theater because Netflix and Hulu is so popping. Why should I even leave this? You know what I mean? But it's actually really cool when you watch something with people and experience it. That's a really big thing. But people aren't creating things affordable for us, nor attractive for us. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping I can be that.
Do you think that the want to bring, I guess, like that audience back into, or bring that audience to theater, because I don't know if we were like ever there, do you think it's just like a nostalgia dream of like, I really want this to happen, but like we've kind of moved away from it and it's kind of like it's time to engage in a different way? Because you can watch things with people, so like I think Periscope died, but like Instagram Live, Facebook Live, you are watching with a group of people, so maybe it's just that. And then like VR,
there's nothing like that feeling when a whole room is erupting and laughing and you're in that room.
Yeah. There's
nothing like that feeling where there's so many people in a room, but the moment is so serious and silent that everybody's kind of holding in their breath. Mm-hmm. And I think we also need those moments now when people are mad apathetic. You know what I mean? Where people are kind of like, because people be online looking at all these real deep stories and they just scroll past them and not care because there's no connection because it's another thing online.
Yeah.
And I also think though, because people love comedy so much and poetry so much, why wouldn't you want to go to a play?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? But also don't think that it's like nobody has anything put together to where I'm going to want to go out and I can get my laughs and my message and my deepness at the same time. Because I think, I know some, I don't want to lie about theater's expensive. Theater's expensive. I looked up, I tried to get some Hamilton tickets for myself and it was like $500. You know what I'm saying? Don't nobody.
Even the university, I looked at $20. Excuse you? I'm used to free tickets.
You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously. But I also think that, you know, if people saw that stuff coming around, then they want to go. Like, I even think, like, in a weird way, Netflix is saving some stand-up comedy because people are watching those stand-up specials. Now someone comes into town, they want to see it. But now even if you're looking at some of those stand-up specials, some of them are starting to slide in more drama in their show, a little bit more drama in the show. It's like, this isn't a stand-up, this is a one-person show.
Oh,
so,
yeah, like,
Hassan Minaj.
I haven't seen his. The guy that used to write with Dave Letterman. No, not Dave Letterman. Dave Chappelle.
Neil Brennan.
Yes.
3 mics. I love 3 mics.
Yes. Yeah. That's a wonderful show.
Mics. That exactly, and I would want to go see that too because it had so many. And I love 3 mics. I actually studied it very heavy when I was working on Island Trap. But the only thing for me is I was like, I didn't want it to be separated. I wanted to find a way to weave everything into a through storyline. But when I was watching Nico Brendan's 3 mics, I'm like, and this is no shade. I don't even know if I shade this on camera, but I don't care. Nico Brendan way better than an Amy Schumer.
That's not shade. Those are facts.
3 mics was way better than the Leather Special. Yeah. Way better than the Leather Special. But I also don't know if I just have a personal bias for not liking Amy Schumer.
Well, no. I can tell you it's not good. I was a super big, I was a big
Trainer.
fan of Instant... Of what?
Oh, I thought you said you liked the movie Trainer Act that she did.
I couldn't make it through it. No, I was a big fan of Inside Amy Schumer.
Oh, you watched the show? Wasn't it a sketch show, wasn't it?
Yes, it was good.
Oh, it was?
It was good. But here's the thing. She had a lot of writers. Even on that show, people talked about, oh, you stole this from somebody else. So that's.
I think I saw a compilation thing that Joe Rogan said that.
So it's kind of like that's kind of always followed her, and then that was the first. The first special of hers I watched was I think it was Dangerous Women or something because Marina Franklin, check her out, great black comic.
Okay.
Yes,
yeah.
she was on there, killed it, was really good. And so that was the first time I saw Amy Schumer. And then the Leather Special, didn't like it. I was like, this is trash. Like, I can see this at an open mic, you know? And so...
She got $10 million for that special.
You know what? The plight of white
and
women.
Complained that she didn't get the $20 million Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock got.
I do not know why. I mean, America, right?
I'm saying, if she can get $10 million for this Leather Special, we're going to see what we can do with Island Trap. And take it as far as we can. But I know that because it's not, even though hopefully one day I'll be able to do stand-up comedy. But for this piece,
have you done it before?
Nope. Too nervous. Haven't done it yet, just because.
Every Thursday, there's one floating around here.
I know, and I should do it, but I'm just, you know.
You should do it.
Okay, you might have got me. Y'all saw it here first, folks.
There we go.
The thing about and this is the thing that why I want to get into that space is because comics live on a little bit of a different of an edge when there's a heckler and there's drinks, the bare minimum of drink. You got 12 seconds to get to your next joke. 12 seconds to get to your next joke. But in one person show, the theater community, they're more willing to sit, watch you. You know, I mean, theater people, they do give pity laughs as much as they say they don't. Some in theater. Something's not that funny in comedy. They don't do that,
which is always a nerve for me in the theater because I want to look around and say that wasn't funny. It's not funny. Why was laughing? You know what I'm saying?
We can't do that in the theater.
But I really wish. But I think some comedy spaces, and I don't want to get too much on comedy. Some comedy spaces are turning into that a little bit. Some of the open mics are a little bit, but that's because people bring their friends and people get friendly with the
that is true. I didn't think of that.
Yeah, but I mean. Not on that. I did want to ask, so Island Trap, what drew you to this Caribbean-esque type theme instead of going for the more traditional or predicted Africa vibe?
In a very weird way, I wanted to I also did want to encompass the diaspora in the best way that I could.
Mm-hmm.
but like in a modern way where you didn't just seem like we all started here, then we moved here, then we moved here. Because another reason for me is the Caribbean exudes a certain sense of strength and joy, but also tribulation. You know, because that's where so many people were like seasoned during the transatlantic slave, like, and I was always fascinated with Toussaint and Haiti. You know, people don't talk about too much the fact that like you're telling me these people who weren't from this country decided to rebel and won. I mean, people might not say that they won because Haiti doesn't have a lot of money, but they stopped being enslaved like that, and they have such a sense of joy. You know, I guess just the idea of people who, during really tough times, still make the active decision to choose joy, that interests me. You know, it's like, the idea of Bob Marley is a big reason why I picked up the ukulele. I remember the same summer, I literally listened to Lauryn Hill Unplugged, and I was watching the Bob Marley documentary on Netflix for like 2-3 months straight.
Just over and over.
Just literally over and over and over again. To a point where I didn't even have to watch, I could just kind of hear it in the background. But the idea of how Bob Marley grew up in like this, his dad was an overseer and his mom was like this little village girl. Dad didn't want nothing to do with them. Trenchtown, Jamaica, and he's making joy music. I think that's a big part of our culture and our heritage that we need to know for things happening like now. That if, you know, even when I see people like do like these like carnivals or joverts, like they'll be doing it like in cities that are mad sad, but it's good just to see that essence of joy, because if not, we just, you know, just fall lower and lower and lower into it. And I also think that like, as far as like a landscape, it's gorgeous over there. When I just look at pictures, I haven't even been yet. This is like one of the places that I really want. I've never left America.
You've never really?
Never left America. And if I do leave, the first places I would rather go would be some of the Caribbean or Africa. I don't want to do what my black self gonna be doing going to Europe first for? Why? What am I gonna do going there first for?
The theaters in Europe.
There could be some theater down in the Caribbean too. I don't know. I just never saw little brown man little theater down the street. You know.
Yeah.
But I also think that like, I think those spaces would really like stuff like this too, in a weird way. Like, I would love to take Island Trap on a Caribbean tour. That would be a dream to take it on a Caribbean tour. And even another dream to take on like an African tour.
Ooh, you know who you should link up with? Is a band called, they used to be called Nexus. I think they're One Tree Hill something now. I know that was like a white show. But I think that's what they're called. I'll send you the link.
Yeah.
But they used to be called Nexus, and I think they're based out of Barbados, and they actually came here I think a couple of years ago, and did a show. They were amazing. They were great. But they but they're based out of there, so you could probably do some things with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm definitely trying to get like a really good like teaser stuff trailer so I could send it to some theaters and ask some places if I could just come out. I'm also working on a curriculum to go with Island Trap.
Ooh,
so
this academia.
I mean, if they let me, I'm really trying to squeeze 2 degrees out of my grad program. One for playwriting and one for acting.
There we go.
Just because I technically, I'm on like my 3rd or 4th one-person show right now. I wrote the first one my first semester. Island Trap's the second one that I wrote, and The Great Speakers is the 3rd one, and that one comes out the week after Island Trap.
Ooh, I gotta go see that
on
one.
December 5th or the 7th, we don't know yet.
Okay.
That one's right after.
Is that one more about your debate stuff?
Mm-hmm. And because Island Trap is really fantastical, the other one's more like reality, just because I want to make myself have a spectrum.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that people get to see Island Trap first, so they can be like, oh wow, before we get to this very subtle
so
stuff.
you can trick them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, thankfully people won't be seeing the same show twice, because you know, hey, people get lazy. I hope that that's enough to get people like excited. And that's probably been like the tough thing now is, now that I've been learning in grad school like how to put pieces together is, now I see like how tough it is for like a writer to like either write this piece or sort of put together a piece together, and like you don't know what the next steps are because it's so hard to get something moving or the reels like rolling or to get people like interested.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much been like the place that I'm at. I'm like, I just hope that when I have a show, we can put up the best day that we can, get people there to have a good time, and hopefully it'll lead to the next one. But like you said earlier, I mean, been really blessed and highly favored, so I probably just need to wait and see what comes on, just keep on practicing, keep my head down and going forward. I'm so excited that this is happening just because even though I was doing sports, I always wanted to be an actor, but I was too scared to tell people because it's like a weird thing to tell, like, you don't want to be like, tell me I'm an actor. What? Catch the ball. That now it's like, oh, sometimes I wake up and I'm like, oh, dang, is that what I do? Is that what I do when I wake up? Like, I guess my ultimate goal would be I want to be one of the best storytellers of all time. And I don't know what capacity it means, whether it's writing or acting or cause there's still a lot of film stuff I hopefully like to do. Like as soon as I graduate, my dream would be to land on a really awesome TV show that has a couple of seasons, but would also allow me to have the opportunity of whenever we're not shooting for that, I could tour with one-person shows and people could see me who loved me from that TV show until we get back to the next season.
There we go.
That's what I would really, really want. And to be able to, and I want to open up my own performing arts school.
There we go. Give back to the community.
Hey.
Where would you open it up at?
I want to open up in a market that's growing to where people could make their professional transition very easy. And because I don't know where that's going to be soon, because as much as I know like Atlanta's like the growing thing for screen right now, people always say LA. I don't know if those are going to be the same places in like 10 years. But if I come up with a curriculum for Island Trap to where people can pull out themes from that show and the actual Odyssey and be able to create like their own versions of an epic poem, that's a curriculum I'd really like to teach if I went on an Island Trap tour that literally the next day I'd always do a workshop with the people who just saw the show. And if I could do that, that'd make me a lot happier. Because that way, like performing and stuff is cool, but and I know people say the performance you give the audience something. I want people to leave with something that they could turn into something. You know, performing is cool. That's kind of me getting really my fix on. But if somebody was like to watch or have a piece of me, I want them to have a piece of me teaching them how to create pieces of themselves.
I have one more question.
Yes, break it down.
One that I ask everybody that comes to the podcast since day one. What is a podcast?
For some weird reason, I imagined like
what was the question that
in my head? I saw an airship pod with a cast on it.
Yes.
Right when you said that. Aren't podcasts like radio
that could be
show?
your answer.
I want that to be my answer.
That's your answer.
Yeah. Like a space shuttle with a crash or a cast or something like that.
There we go. That's what it is. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, definitely.
I hope I get to see you there November 28th.
Yes, definitely. Well,
are you gonna bring some people with you, or are you two? Oh,
yes, I've invited like 5 people.
Really?
I only know 5 people. I mean, I'm kidding, but I mean, like, I invited people though, so yeah, they're gonna be there, and then the Black Excellence.
So you have to do me a favor. Yes, you have to do me a favor.
I have to invite
if you
people.
were, yes, if you were my
Is a
PR,
pyramid scheme? A pyramid scheme?
No.
Okay.
If you were to be the PR for Island Trap, what game plan would you give me?
Ooh, what game would I give you? Make flyers, print them out, spam people.
How would you promote it to people? What'd you tell them?
Oh, promotion. See, I'm just like, here's a picture, go to it. No, I would say Island Trap is kind of a journey of finding home when you're away from home. It's taking a classic and making it for Black people. It's telling a story that may not necessarily be about you or for you, but you'll want to know it.
Oh, come on! I like that. Now you heating it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you do the pictures of that and then do the shot later.
A shot of what? Okay.
Just a little.
Oh, you can do that now.
Okay.
Yes, give me 1 second.
I'm thinking, what should I do?
Okay. Jam out.
She using right to carry on no only with inflict on harm. She got 2 babies in her home. Hopefully they'll make it home. But all these clips have a low. All of the anger, self-hate killing strangers. Strangely, we got the same nigger. I swear separation danger. These guns blasting at your gums. But it's okay where you from. This trigger bang just like a drum. Nigga. Yeah. Blocker, 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 blocker. Blocker, 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 blocker. Blocker, 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 blocker. Blocker, 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 echo. Blocker, 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 blocker. I called this chopper Trayvon, and it banged like a hammer. My other gun got bland, so I called her Sandra. This deuce make it name, and hit the drop like a dancer. This 38 make a steady leg when it hit the folks with the Bama. Echo. Blocker, 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 blocker. Blocker, 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 echo. Blocker, 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 blocker.
Blocker, blocker, blocker.
Yeah, echo. Blocker, 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 blocker. Blocker, 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 echo. Blocker, 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 blocker. Let's go. Run away to a place where you know your worth, know your worth. Where you know your worth. Do 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 do. Za ta 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 ta. Little Mix 230, hey!
Yes, love this scat. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Ashford.
Thank you for having me.
on.
It's an honor to finally be here.
Is it?
I hope I get another shot coming in here when the new show gets done.
Oh, yes, definitely. I would love to have you back. Love talking. Thank you for being so candid and so,
Yes.
open about, all that we talked about. Because I wanted it to be, to obviously talk about your shows, but also, talk more about other stuff. And we did that.
And I definitely give you more than I give other people. I'm very ambivert.
What is ambivert?
Have you heard of ambidextrous?
Yeah.
You know what extrovert and introvert?
Yeah.
Ambivert.
So
it means because I'm an artist, people assume the extroverted.
Yeah.
But actually, I'm a really introverted person when it doesn't have to come with the stage and stuff.
Yeah. I think I'm kind of the same way because it's kind of like when I'm up performing, I will give the room all of it. all of it. But it's talk to my family and I'm the weird one sitting in the corner on his phone I hate everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do know what you're saying. Which is why I appreciate this so much. Maybe we'll be able to, after people have seen the show, we can talk about elements of it and give spoilers because people are going to come watch it so we can break it down.
I would love to do a breakdown of it.
I would love to too.
And then we'll have video. So I'll be so in this scene right here.
Let's do it. I'm with it.
That'd be great.
That means you got to bring notes and stuff when you come watch it the next time live.
Oh yeah, I'll bring my notepad and my little hat with a light on it so I can see it. Cause
Well, I gotta say thank you for my Oprah interview.
Your Oprah interview?
My Oprah interview.
Give me that.
Okay.
But let me tell you something. I mean, she is the goal. She is the dream. Thank you for saying that. And I'm always yes, it came across.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carl, get that hustle. Also, you got me in here feeling all comfortable. I start playing, telling you about me getting charges and shit. Like, damn, this is great.
There we go.
I definitely cuss on your show a lot. And
that's okay, because we're on the internet, so it doesn't have to be boop, boop.
Oh. Okay, good too. Because I was like, man, I played Blocka Blocka. I don't know who this audience is. I'm about to play Blocka Blocka with the wrong people.
We'll find out who you are when you listen to this. But,
see you there.
Yes. So come. Yes.
You ready?
Oh, no. Oh, my God. No.
Take us out of here with a rap.
I don't know what to rap about.
You can do the Fresh Prince song.
I know the Fresh Prince song.
Yes, you do. You go, in West Philadelphia, born and raised. Go
on
ahead.
the playground, most of my schooling out, maxing out, some.
Outside of school.
Couple of knuckleheads, no. When a couple of homeboys?
Couple of guys are up to no good.
Okay. When a couple of guys, they were up to no good. Started making trouble in my neighborhood. I got in one too many fights, and my mom got said you moving to you? And Bel Air. The cab in the Thompson was there.
Dice in the mirror.
That's in the mirror. There we go.
This club was great. I said, yo, homie.
Yo, homie, Fresh Prince of Bel Air. See, I didn't know this one. Okay, there we go.
That was the best closing ever. I hope that starts off the interview. I loved it. That made it so great.
Thank you.
How are we doing the pictures? You just snap them?
Yeah. So one shot that I really want to get is
You made this so awesome.
Oh, you made it awesome. I was just listening. Okay.